Brandon. It's now my honor to introduce his basketball coach to induct Zach into the Athletic Hall of Fame. So please help me welcome James Jr.
Such a pleasure and privilege to be here this morning in honor of Danielle and Brandon and Zach. And I want to take a minute to thank the administration because we don't, the coaches, the athletes, you don't always realize your coaches are your coaches, but they have to be backed. So I want to thank you guys, Jamie and Susan and everyone over there. And then especially, I want to say it again, you guys walk away, you really don't know the value of our athletic secretary, Jill, because everyone knows, I think the school, at least our athletic program, fall apart. Sorry, Jill. So, I am here to honor the flight of Zach Birdman by. Anyone who didn't know he was called Birdman was put on notice in November 2005. His first game, senior year, playing Broad Alban. Rocco DeJohn, he busted out of a pack at breakneck speed into heavy traffic, going directly into harm's way. That sounds about right for Rocco. That's what I would say, right? Rocco, all gas, no brakes, huh, Rocco? And I didn't know where Rocco was going, and that's my whole life. I never know where Rocco's going. He gets into the paint and he flips the ball about a foot over the rim off the backboard, and you know, the next part of it is the Rocket Man? No. The Human Highway film? No. But the Birdman. He scored in and threw down a dunk, and it really set the tone for a whole season. And never mind about his jumping ability. He could fly. What was really noteworthy about Zach is his spirit. There was nothing that bigger than Scotia basketball and the pride he brought to the school and the community. When we arrived at the gymnasium, everyone knew we are Scotia. And Zach was always in the mix, always ready to lead the charge with Terrence Coppola, Rocco, Dan, Jeff, and Mikey Stapera. Over a 3-year period, those were the guys. And so for that, I thank you, Zach. And never mind his eye-popping stats. He averaged a double-double. What's really special is Zach's loyalty. Zach has given back to the Scotia community and program over and over again, on the air, helping our students in the gym, even you know, my own son, you know, the way my son feels about Zach, he always gives back. And just over and over again, he pays respect and never forgets who helped him get to where he is. And for that, Zach, I thank you. And never mind the championships. What really matters is Zach's heart. His love of the game was always present, and for that, I thank you. So, some will say Zach was lucky that he played with great teams and unbelievable talent. The reality is that we were lucky, the lucky ones to be on his team. And as great as it was to be Zach's coach, it is even better to be his friend. So, yeah, never mind what he did on the court. I am proud for what you've done off the court. A young boy who always had a lot to say, but had difficulty getting a million words out all at once. And to see him be the articulate, confident man that he is in Denver on ESPN radio, I'll say it for you, Zach. How do you like me now? And, well, Zach, we don't like you. We love you. Zach, bye.
This is so cool. I have been able to do a handful of really cool things that I'm extremely proud of in the occupation that I have. I would trade just about anything that done to be here right now. So I will not try to play it cool or anything like that. This is a big deal to me. First of all, thank you. You've done such a good job since taking over as the athletic director, and I am proud that you are our, and I still talk about that in the current sense, our athletic director. Thank you. Jill Bushman, thank you. I never forget the time that I sped through the parking lot and never stopped at a stop sign, and you came up to me, and boy, holy shit, you almost ripped my head off. You almost, did you remember that? I was shook. I was about 17 years old, could lift like 275. I was shook. Thank you for doing all you do. It's not lost on us. You do a great job. I never let myself think about this. I didn't. And there's a couple of reasons why, and I'm going to get to the main reason in a second, but I never let myself ever say, oh, you know, one day I hope I would be in the Scotia Hall of Fame. That's just not ever the way that I thought. Playing basketball for Scotia, this is a very simplistic statement, but it's extremely powerful for me. Playing for Scotia basketball is one of the proudest things that I've ever done in my life, okay? I have just always been extremely passionate about where I was from by nature, and always just even separate from basketball, always proud to be from Scotia, always proud to be from Catherine Street in the Village, you know, and I just always wore that on my sleeve, and all my boys know that, and sometimes we have a lot of fun with that, but that's always been something to me that I've always just been proud of. So to have that across my chest, Scotia, you know, when you play for your hometown team, it's only such a small window of time that you actually represent your community. It says it on your chest. And even if you're lucky enough to go play in college, and I was lucky enough to do that, as Brandon and Danielle were, congratulations to you guys too. And I mean this to both of you guys. I was so aware, hyper aware of how successful both of you were at your sports. And I mean that. And I know we were in high school at the time, there's so much going on. Danielle, I knew how dominant you were. And I know you and I were never great friends and didn't run in the same circles, but from afar, I always admired you and your grit that Coach Crow talked about. And Brandon, I always knew from afar how successful you were as a tennis player. And I just think it's the coolest thing that we're here together. And again, both of us, all three of us never ran in the same circles, but it's cool that we're all here today. But to have that across your chest is what I was saying. It's such a unique period. So I went to play college at St. Rose. It was one of the most proud things I've ever done. But it says St. Rose. You know, most people pay to be there. You know, but Scotia, that's where you live. That's where you put your head down. That's where you'll always be from. And to have it across your chest, I just think always, even at the time, you know, was just the coolest thing. And it's one of the most proud things I've ever done. Just inherently, not like accomplishment or anything, but just to take the floor with the Scotia across your chest, that was never lost on me. And I'm so proud that was the case. And that will always be the case. You can never take that away from me. I grew up looking up to these guys in my community who were good basketball players. Guys like Mark Mortensen, call him Mort. Jason Mossa, call him Buck. Mark Gatta. And guys like that. And even guys, and Berm, Kevin Burmaster, call him Berm. These guys, and even guys like that were never even on those guys' level, I looked up to. If they were on the team and they played for Coach G, I looked up to them. And I never, and I'll steal a thought from one of my best friends in the world, Terrence Coppola. Terrence was the all-time leading scorer of our high school before Joe Cremo selfishly took that title. And Terrence's father, Dave Coppola, Dr. Coppola, in the back. So you just wave. So Dr. Coppola is one of the handful of people that has this year, and always has, as long as I've been cognizant of it, has always contributed to the athletic fund here. And that's another thing that makes this whole thing work in terms of like Scotia and why the community specials from people like you, Mr. Coppola, who I've always looked up to. And I mention him because I'm going to steal a thought from Terrence. Because Terrence went in the Hall of Fame about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I made sure I was here for that. And he said something that I'll just basically mirror his sentiment. I never imagined myself playing at like a Duke. You know, sometimes these, kids come up and you imagine yourself playing for Syracuse. And you say, that's the goal. I want to play at Syracuse, or I want to play for, Scotia-Glenville, or I want to play for, even I got a chance to play for New York State Hall of Famer, Brian Beery, a legend in coaching. But that's never like in the back of my mind. It was never like, I want to go play college here. But what I did for not imagining that tenfold, 100-fold, I always imagined myself playing in a Scotia uniform in a packed house against a team like Glens Falls or Gloversville, where people paid $3 at the door to come watch us play. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and sweat. I would make up almost night terrors that I wasn't prepared for that moment, that I wasn't ready to represent our Scotia. I wasn't ready to be that guy with the guys who worked just as hard as I did. So I think that's pretty unique. That I didn't never imagine myself in a Lakers uniform. It was always in a Scotia uniform, and I was performing for Scotia. And I hope that kids somewhere out there, maybe the kids in 8th grade right now, 9th grade, we don't know them yet, but hopefully we get to know that kid who thinks like that. That's obsessed with representing the community like that. Hopefully we get to know him, like Joe Cremo, right? Joe Cremo, everyone knows Joe Cremo's name. Joe Cremo's wired like that. And that's the way that I was wired. So, again, to the sentiment of representing the community, that always meant so much to me. I want to highlight 3 things that we were able to do at Scotia that I'm still extremely proud of. One, we won the league title. We've won state titles since then, but back at that time, we hadn't won like that. We had a 1 league championship, and it was a co-league, right? It was a co-league championship from 1998, and I remember this shit because I was obsessed with it. I wanted to know about it. I wanted to know who played there. I wanted to know how much success we had, and I wanted to know where the watermark was, so me and the homies could try to pass it. And when we won that league title, it meant so much to us. We had some good teams in that league, and we won the title, and then we won it again. My junior year, 2003, 2004, we went 19-1, and then our senior year we went 18-2. I mean, we were really good, but the fact that we brought the league title home at that time was so important. It's still so important to me, and I wouldn't trade it. The second thing is at that time, back in those mid-2000 years, and you guys will remember this, we hadn't played in the Civic Center in Glens Falls. That's where the final 4 teams go for the sectionals. And we had some good teams, but we got upset, and it was just heartbreaking stuff. But when we were able to beat Lansingburg, and boy did we put a hurt on those boys, we played them in the playoffs, and we went to the Civic Center. And to us at the time, it was so important that Scotia was going to the Civic Center. And unfortunately, we got upset by a team who played there in their hometown, Glens Falls. It was a home game for them. We had beat them twice. We beat them home and we beat them away. We had to try to beat them for a 3rd time, but unfortunately, we couldn't get it done. They had a top 10 NBA draft pick on their team. Jimmer for that. But reaching that moment was so incredibly powerful for all of us, and I'll always remember that. And that's another thing I wouldn't trade. The third thing that I wouldn't trade, and this is the last of the 3, is beating Glens Falls at Glens Falls. Those guys were so tough, and they have such a great culture up there, and they had such great players up there. And the fact that we were able to go up there, and they had Jimmer, and he was friggin' this guy, that, Bayheim's in the house, and these guys, and we went up there, and it was a packed house, and we found ourselves down 4 with 53 seconds left on the road, packed house, down 4, 53 seconds left, and we found a way to win that game. And that was my favorite moment in basketball. And I was lucky enough to be in a position to hit the game-winning shot. And if my memory were to ever, and I'm always an emotional person, so my friends who know me know that I'm gonna cry, so that's just who I am, and I accept it. If my memory were to slip, and I'd be on my deathbed, that would be the last memory to ever go. I was up at Glens Falls, packed house, and we got, everyone was so mad, man, we got in a tussle on the courthouse, remember? And they had to separate us all, and they had to get us back to the locker room because it was going down. And that was so special to me. And I'll always remember that. And I'll always have that forever. But maybe the most important thing that we ever did at Scotia. So I mentioned those guys. I mentioned Berm and Buck and Mort. And the more important than anything we ever did on the actual hardwood was doing for others what those guys had done for us. We had looked up to those guys. I mean, I glorified those guys. I mean, they could have been the Lakers to me. That's how much we loved our own community and the guys who were on the varsity level. And they could have been the Knicks. But the most important thing probably for me, looking back at it with just more wisdom, is that we were able to do for the younger guys what they had done for us. Guys like Joe Cremo, okay? Guys like Scotty Stapira, those guys were our ball boys, okay? And we always showed them so much love and attention in those moments, and they looked up to us, and we knew it. We never took it for granted. We knew they were looking to us like I was looking to those older guys, and we always fostered that sort of culture. And I would just, I would give them my old gear, and that was too small for me, and I would always, I could dunk back in the day, and I would jump over them, because they meant so much to them to just bend down, and I'd jump over them. And when you do something like that, you don't realize remember in math that you would take a number and they'd throw like an exponent up there, and I hated it. I hated those things because it was always so hard for me to figure out. I was in the slow math. She was my teacher. It was called applied math. Meaning that like extra layer of application, applied math. But they throw these exponent in the top right corner, but what the exponent does, if you remember what it does, is you don't multiply it by the number, you multiply it by the number that it is, and it continues to fold on itself. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what happens when you show attention and foster and care and love these young guys. I mean, these guys are obsessed with us. Joe Cremo, who he went on to be I said his name a bunch because I love the kid, he went on to be the New York State Player of the Year twice. And he used to take my shoes, and he would literally, and this is unbelievable, after the game, I'll take my shoe off, after the game, he would take my shoe, and he was about 7 or 8, and he'd go like this. I mean, can you believe that? That's an illustration about the impact that you can have on others. Because when someone's that, hyped and obsessed, and you show them love, and you pay attention to them, and you foster them, it folds, and then they do it again. Those guys, maybe the proudest thing that we were able to do is they looked up to all of us. And we took care of those guys. Those guys grew up to win 2 state titles. And when they look at us, they still think we're the Lakers after all these years. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, is just having a positive impact on the community. And it folded because those guys went and did the same thing. So I don't know who's next up. I don't know if he's in 5th grade, 6th grade. We don't know his name yet. Maybe he's living on Bruce Street. Maybe he's living on Riverside, Sanders, Catherine. We don't know him yet. But because we did that to those guys, and that's how they came up, then that's how they were. And you're never sure about that impact. And I know I'm going long here. I'm not trying to get this. I'm sorry. I'm used to filling 3 hours. You know, like we're almost done with the first 10 minutes. Thank yous. The first thank you I want to thank is my dad. See, it always takes a first step for something, and my dad was the first one to put the ball in my hands. Someone's got to do that first, okay? And my dad, at one point in time, and I heard, was a really good basketball player. And back in Buffalo, I'd go back to Buffalo, and they would say, "Oh yeah, hey, your dad, you know how older folks do to the kids. Hey, your dad can play some ball." You know, and he put the basketball in my hands, and I remember we'd go to his apartment, and we would be on the downstairs floor, and you had this gray ball, it was fuzzy, it had been so worn. But basketballs, after they get used for years and years and years, they become fuzzy on the outside. And you had a basketball, and I remember being in the kitchen, about 7 years old, and I remember dribbling, you know, and in the kitchen. And you know how kids try to put it to their legs, and they lift the leg up, and they try to go through it. And I remember doing that, and you keep saying, "No, do it again, keep going." So I always thank you for that, and I always thank you for always being at my games. You know, you always have my games. And if you weren't there, I kind of look around and, you know, wonder when you're going to be there. And you're always here. So thank you. I also want to thank my mom. One of the most underrated things in youth sports is the parents who put the kids in the car and bring them back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It never gets the headline. But you did it for years and years and years and more years. I remember me and Jason would be on 2 different teams. You got to bring this one to this place. We were supposed to. I remember there'd be a baseball field. I'd be playing on this field. Jason would be playing on this field, and my mom would stand in between, not knowing what the hell was going on, but just kind of go like, "Hey, Johnny, do you need anything? Okay, I'll be here." And I thank you for that, Mom, for always just being there and making sure we were where we were supposed to be. I also want to thank my brother, Jason, who isn't here. He had to be in town last weekend. He flew from Chicago, where he lives now, and he was at our good friend Mike Roush's wedding last week and just couldn't make it back. But I want to thank my brother because you need these competitive, like how you sharpen a knife over and over, you grind it and you grind it. That was my brother. We just had wars in the backyard. How about this? These soft-ass kids these days. Me and my brother would play games to 50 in the backyard, best of 7. Think about that. And on any particular day. And I always thank my brother for that. And furthermore, one of the most special things that ever happened to me is that me and my brother were about the same stature, and we played the same position. And there became a point when we were in high school where I surpassed my brother athletically. And he couldn't compete with me anymore on the court. You know, if we played 10 times, I would win all 10 of them. But he was good. My brother was a good player, but he just couldn't hang anymore. And you know what he did his senior year? My brother played basketball every single year of his youth, from the little kids right on up. And he stopped playing his senior year. He stopped playing his senior year. Why? So he could watch me. And that's always been so special to me. You know, my brother's willingness to say, "I'm not going to compete with you in practice every single day. I'm just going to step out of the way and root for you." And my brother would go to my away games and things, and that's always been so much for me. So I wanted to thank him despite his absence. And I also want to thank my coaches. My coaches, this is not possible with our coaches, and I promise I'm wrapping up here in a minute. I sound like my pastor growing up. He's like, "I'm almost done." I'm like, "Yeah, right." I want to thank my coaches. In 7th grade, I was coached by Dave Versacchi. In 8th grade, I was coached by Coach Palumbo. In 9th grade, I was lucky enough to get moved up to JV and didn't play freshman. I played for Coach Haver. And going into my sophomore year, since I had been moved up to JV, I assumed I was going to be moved up to varsity. The guys who I moved up with, Rocco and Dan, we moved up to JV together, so we skipped freshman ball. By the time my sophomore year came around, I assumed I was going to get moved up to varsity. And Jimite said no. He said, no, you're going to stay on JV. And my heart broke. My heart broke. It flat out broke. I couldn't believe I was being held back down on the same level that I was playing at the year before, and I wasn't put on varsity. But the thing is, Scotia's hoops program was really humming by that point, and we were going to be really good. And I wasn't going to be able to contribute on varsity. I wasn't good enough yet. But that year that pissed me off so much and broke my heart is actually what made me into the player I eventually became, because for the first time in any year, I had the basketball in my hands. And I was asked to make the play. I wasn't deferring to anyone else. And that ultimately without that year, I wouldn't be up here. And lastly, I want to thank Coach Jimite. G, you are the only person in this, among the people that I have thanked, you could argue that you could take any of the people that I've thanked out of the equation and I'd still be able to do what I did. Okay, you could make that argument. But you can't take you out of the equation and equal what it equaled. Okay? You stopped when I was playing 6th grade, I was in the youth Scotia program, and you stopped by and you made sure, you told me and my parents, you told my parents, make sure he keeps playing basketball. And that little moment, it inspired me. And you always showed me attention and sort of cultivated whatever I had going. And that became 100-fold once I actually got to the varsity level. And you teaching me the game, the X's and O's, but also just how to love the game, be passionate about the game, be a grinder, be a motherfucker. You know? And without that DNA, you can only get so far. You can do all the skill set stuff you want, but unless you have that DNA, and Coach, thank you. And also, there was a moment, in high school where I just, just under so much duress. And I remember I came into your math class, it was my senior year, and you had a group of sophomores in there you were teaching. And I had just gotten some news, and I was just so emotional. And I was crying. And I was a big bad senior at the time, and I thought I was hot stuff. And there I am, crying. And I came into your classroom in tears, and you stopped the class. And you talked to me, and I just, for whatever reason, I could never shake that moment. You just being there. And we had a game against Shenandoah that night, and I remember you just said, hey, just channel all of this stuff. Channel all of it. And let's go beat Shen. And we went and kicked their ass. I also want to thank quickly Andre Cook, who was my junior college coach, and I want to thank Brian Beery, who made me the first full scholarship basketball player from Scotia since William Primus. Is it William Primus? Warren Primus. That meant so much to me, because I know we went so many years and no one ever actually offered money to a Scotia kid.